Well, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great. Thanks for showing up for another Power Hour, and hope everybody is ready to get started and be productive this morning. So, awesome. Well, let's take a look at the chat and see how everybody is doing here. So, I see we have a few new folks, and that is awesome. So, it looks like here. Looks like we have a new person, Maya. Everybody, welcome Maya Robinson. Thank you for showing up. Awesome to be here. And it looks like Maya is going to be working on older work from NaNoWriMo. So awesome. Very, very cool. Good to have you here. And we've also got another new person, CG Fernandez. Hello, everyone. First time here. Well, welcome, CG. Good to have you here. And be sure to let us know what you're working on. And if anyone else is new, if I happen to miss you, I was scanning the chat as the music was going. Please let me know. I would love to say hello. And it looks like we've got some regulars here. Travis, good morning, Travis. Good to see you. And thank you. Pre-stream soundtrack is doing pretty good this morning. I happen to like it myself. Hyena also likes the music, so good stuff. Yeah. Again, the music is from Chill Hop, so if anybody's interested, I think they have a new album coming out for summer. It might actually already be out. I'm not sure. So a lot of fun. So Milk Dreams, hello, Milk Dreams, welcome back. And Rachel TTV is here. So Rachel TV is drinking coffee and a new work in progress for a sci-fi writing contest. All right, very cool. And Retha is back. Hello, Retha. Missed the last couple power hours, but happy to see here today. Be here today and working on Lit RPG and drinking water. Greblox is in the house. Hello, Greblox. Good to see you. Vanessa Jones is in the house. And TextVet Jeb. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you. And okay, CG is working on coffee or drinking coffee and milk and working on a fantasy series. All right. And Dan the Man, hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. So good to have you here. And I'm always happy to see new people. That's always exciting to me, especially because I don't really advertise this. So it's pretty cool. All right. Let's see. Dan says, very curious if you could talk about writing dual protagonists with one from the past and one in the present day. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. I will flag that, and and I'll spend a little bit more time on it after our first break, if that's okay, Dan, because there's definitely some things you can do with that. So I will definitely hit that. Amy Downs, good morning, and Alexander getting some copy work done, examining how Dean Koontz writes an action scene in the silent corner. Very cool. I bet you'll learn a lot. Dean Koontz is one of the masters for sure. So, yeah, very, very curious what you find out from that. I've done a lot of studying of Dean Koontz. Okay. And Jocelyn Carter is working on a sci-fantasy work in progress. Very cool. And Dan is working on a pilot for Western action drama, I believe. And Deborah Edwards is working on World War II romance. Welcome, Deb. And very, very cool. And looks like the last one here before we jump into it. Michael Frem, hopefully I said, or Michael, I hope I said your name correctly. Working on science fiction. It's been an off and on 7-year journey. Well, I hope that this power hour will help you get to the end of that journey. Kind of crazy. 7 years. All right. So, all right. And just real quick, Dawn is here and Michelle is also here. So very, very cool. So for those people who are new, welcome to the Power Hour. I do this once a month. And the reason I do it is just to provide a space for everybody to kind of come in and chill and work on whatever you want to work on. So I know all of us have jobs. We have other obligations. We have children. We have pets. We have other hobbies and things that we're required to do. And sometimes, we wake up in the morning and we have all the best intentions of wanting to write, but then it's 10 o'clock at night and nothing happens. And so being able to schedule some time, being able to sit down to do this is, I think, really important, because sometimes being able to write and be productive, sometimes that gets away from even me. And so how we do this is, for the new people, is I play some music. So I will cue some music here in a minute or two. And some nice relaxing music comes on, and a timer comes on, just like you saw at the very beginning of the stream. We write for 20 minutes, so you can do whatever you want to do. You can write, you can work on your writing business, you can do some marketing, you can work on a screenplay, you can write your novel by hand. I don't care what you do, just as long as you feel like you're being productive. We're going to do that for 20 minutes, and then at the end of that 20 minutes, we come back, we celebrate our wins. I can answer any questions that you guys have, because I know there's always questions about writing, questions about marketing, whatever you want to ask me, I will answer those. And then we do it again for 20 minutes. And then we come back and brief, and then we do it for another 20 minutes. And that's why I call it a power hour. So it's 90 minutes. And as you guys know, I usually stay on the stream until all of your questions are answered. Just kind of a fun way to shoot the breeze. All right, so for those of you who are new, that is how we do it. And I did see another new person pop in, Janine Washington, new here. Well, welcome. And very, very excited to have you here. And let's see. Okay, Rachel TTB, you might be happy to know that you pop up in the YouTube algorithm for sci-fi writing research frequently, which is really funny because I think I've only done one video on like writing sci-fi. So that is ironic. It means I probably could do more videos on writing sci-fi, and I would probably own the searches there. So, all right. Well, with that, folks, why don't we go ahead and get started with our first session. So I'm going to cue the music, get your writing up. I hope everybody's got their drinks and their beverage of choice, and we're going to get going. So let's get to it, everybody, and good luck. Oh, before that, because I like to break my flow. So I do want to let everybody know, because I want to make sure I promote this. I am in 2 new box sets, and just want to make sure people know that. One of them is called Urban Fantasy Unleashed. It's 5 novels of urban fantasy, and myself, C.G. Harris, some other really good folks are in this. Mark Leslie, Mark Leslie. So 5 urban fantasy novels. It's a limited time only. It's only going to be available, I believe, through the end of this month. So if you're interested, you can check it out at the link here, and I'll share that. And it's also in the video description for anyone who's interested. And then I'm also in another bundle, and there we go. Okay, so there's the UF bundle there. And then I'm in another bundle, and this one is permanent. It's permanently out there. It's a short story collection, anthology, and it's called Tales of Monstrosity. And it's a perfect Halloween anthology, but I have a Good Necromancer short story in there, and it's the only place you can read this Good Necromancer short story. And in the anthology, every story in the anthology is about a different mythical creature or a different mythical monster. And the cool thing about this anthology is there's no vampires and no werewolves. So no vampires, no werewolves. We all had to be creative in what we went with. So gargoyles, ghouls, gorgons. My story is about a mythical thing called a brazen skull. And so, yeah, if you're interested, michaelaround.com/monstrosity. And again, the links are in there. So I make sure I share that in the beginning, because otherwise I forget. So, all right. So someone asked, is it on Kindle Unlimited? No, these are not on Kindle Unlimited. They are wide, but they are fairly affordably priced. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the first session here. And I'm not going to break the flow. We'll just get right into it. Happy writing, everybody. Okay. Well, we are back, everybody. So I want to know, how did the first session go for you? What did you get accomplished? And how are you feeling? All right. So we'll let the comments come in here. And I did want to start with the question that I kind of delayed until now. It was from Dan the Man. And I said, very curious if you could talk about dual protagonists with one from the past and one in the present day. So, yeah, I have not done this. Well, I kind of did it with my last Dragon Lord series, but it wasn't quite like that. So, yeah, I can it be done? I absolutely think it can be. So the question I have is, do the protagonists ever overlap? And if they don't overlap, then I think it's maybe, I think it would be harder if they don't overlap, because it's almost like you're telling two different novels, right? So you've got one in the past and then one in the future, and maybe they don't overlap, but obviously the things that they're doing will affect each other, or at least the one who's in the past will affect the one who's in the present. And so there is some overlap there, but what I meant is, do they ever meet? And if they don't meet, then I think it's harder. And the reason for that is because, like I said, you're telling two different novels. So I think the most important thing you can do is really just the fundamentals, right? It's there's a few things. Depth is the first thing. So making sure that when you're in the past, it feels like you're in the past, and there's no anachronisms, there's no weird things going on, and you're fully immersing the reader using the five senses of the character, getting inside their head, all of the things that are the fundamentals that I talk about on the channel. And then the same thing in the future, or in the present. So that's probably the first most important thing. The second thing is just making sure you've got the connecting appendages, right? So when you're jumping from the past to the future and from the future to the past, that it feels natural, and that you're using things like cliffhangers. So, somebody dies in the past, then you jump to the future so that the reader doesn't immediately know what happened in the past, that sort of thing. I think pacing and how you link up your chapters, I think, is also really important. And then I think just making sure you've got really good protagonists. So making sure, because you kind of run the risk when you have two protagonists like that readers might favor the future or the past. Like, you kind of want them to like both equally, right? But what if they like the future protagonist a little bit more, and when you go to the past, they don't like that person as much? So that's a risk, right, that you have to be aware of. So things like practicing the fundamentals, working on your pacing, things like that, I think will help you. So I hope that answers your question just a little bit. But yeah, can it be done? Absolutely. And it sounds like a fun story. Okay. All right. Maya says, I am setting up my Scrivener doc for this first session. Very nice. And Jonathan, anyone else been playing around on ChatGPT for sales copy? All the time, my friend. All the time. I start with some sales copy in ChatGPT, and then I tweak it. All right. So I just sent out a newsletter yesterday, and that may or may not have been written partially by ChatGPT. That's how it goes. All right. Yeah. Working on your blurb. Yeah, it's good for blurbs. It's really good for newsletters. It's good for any kind of copy that we struggle with as authors. And I'm a big fan of using it. Now, I don't use it all the time, but certainly when I'm in a pinch and I've got to get some sales copy pumped out, it's a good starting point. It helps you not start from zero. I never recommend just taking something ChatGPT gives you and using it wholesale, but taking it as the beginning of good crafting is smart. All right. SD Houston in the house. All right. Thanks for joining. And don't be afraid, SD. Later this month, SD is hosting the AuthorTube Writing Conference on their YouTube channel. And I'm going to be speaking there. And so if you wouldn't mind, if you're still in the chat, be sure to share the link to that. I think it's authortubewritingconference.com. But you tell me if I'm wrong on that. All right, Martha, excited to be here today. I just got my first book published and working on the next book in the series. Well, congratulations again, Martha. That's really exciting. So everybody, please give Martha a round of applause and a like button here. So we're always happy when folks can get their first book published. So it's good stuff. All right, Wylan is in the house. Hello, Wylan. Good to see you. And Rita, okay, we've seen some congratulations here. So, and okay, starting to see a few numbers here. Milk Dreams wrote 150 words. Deb Deborah revised a scene. All right. And SD just got back from errands looking into getting marketing plan. Okay. And Rachel TTV, 7 words, but I rewrote a scene. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. And Amy Downs, love the topic, any kind of craft talk. Okay. Well, certainly give me your craft questions and I'll be happy to answer them. All right. Jonathan working on revisions. Rita, no words. And I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Rita. And Maya started her Scrivener document. Amy got a lot done, and ridership is valuable. I agree. And Vanessa working on revisions. Rough start, Jocelyn. Oh, I'm sorry you had a rough start, but hey, we got another session coming up. And CG went on vacation in May and feel disconnected to my writing. I used the time to organize my desk. Okay. Well, hey, organizing your desk it's not a bad thing to do. You got to feel good when you're writing, right? And it's hard to do on a messy desk. So good on you for doing that. And Jonathan, I came up with this call to action this morning. Unleash your inner detective and get it now. Nice. All right. Lots of comments coming in here, but okay. Good stuff. And I guess I should share what I'm working on. I was sick over the last few weeks. And so I'm just now kind of getting, I'm just now on the mend and kind of getting back into the swing of things. So I've got a lot of stuff that I've got to clean up. I've got some speaking engagements that I have to get ready for, and I'm slowly easing back into the writing. I've got a short story I'm working on, but right now I'm just trying to kind of clean up the mess. And so I published a book in April, the very end of April, and I realized that I need to go back and do some QA on it. Like I need to make sure that it actually published on Apple and Barnes & Noble, and I got to get those links and I got to put them into my master file, and I need to put those links on my website and all that stuff. So I'm just doing a lot of administrative grunt work during these Power Hour sessions here. Sometimes that's what you got to do. It's just what you got to do. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the next session, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. Good luck. And don't forget, we're going to come back and celebrate at the end. All right. So next session starts now. Oh, no, it doesn't. Sorry. I forgot about that. Oh, there is a special code for Power Hour friends. If you want to buy any book from me directly on my website, you can get 15% off. I wasn't planning on sharing that. I just forgot it was the next scene in this. So you can use the code Power Hour. Go to my website, authorlevelup.com. It's just a standing invitation I have for all my Power Hour regulars. There's no catches. No, you don't have to enter your email address or anything like that. Just if you want to grab one of my books and save a few bucks, you can do it there. So just enter the code Power Hour. And I just, like I said, I had that as a standing invitation. So now, because I keep breaking my flow, we're going to get into the next session. Good luck, everybody. Okay. All right. Second session's over, folks. So let me know, what did you accomplish and how are you feeling about it? Because, as I say, and I can't say it enough, if you feel good when you're writing, your writing will be good. So, all right. So we had some questions come in. So we're going to answer those as the numbers come in. And Shannon says, thanks for dropping the link to the AWC. Yep, I put the link in the chat. So for the AuthorTube Writing Conference, going to be a lot of really good speakers there. And she says we have almost 1,600 in giveaway prizes this year. That's very, very cool. So be sure to check it out. It's here on YouTube. So you got nothing to lose. If you watch me, you can watch this. All right. Next up is Jonathan. Have you considered doing a video on the checklist you use before you publish? Yeah, so I put it in the chat. I have a book on it. It's called Keep Your Book Selling, How to Manage Your Book Portfolio, and I forget what the rest of the subtitle is. But basically, I talk about my methodology in publishing and just making sure you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because when you have as many books as I do, you tend to forget stuff or just do things goofy. Like, I'll just give you a perfect example. So I was doing QA for this book that I published back in April, and I realized that I put the wrong subtitle on this book. And it wasn't, I don't think anyone would notice. Like, basically the subtitle was Secrets No One Will Tell You About Being a Writer. That's what it's supposed to be. But for some reason, when I was publishing this, I said, Secrets No One Will Tell You About Being an Author. The cover is right. I just put the wrong title on Amazon. I don't know why I did that. So this checklist helped me catch that. Because what I was doing before is I was publishing books and, I was doing the best I could, but I was making little mistakes, little gaps in quality here and there. And so this book just kind of goes over that process. And it does include a template master publishing file that I think you're referencing, like a checklist. So when you have a new book, you can go and put the book in, you can put the correct title, all that good stuff. And there's other stuff that I track too. Like if you've picked up any of my books recently, you kind of know that I have, or maybe I don't know if anyone know this, but on my copyright pages, I put a version of the book on there. And that helps me when I publish a new book, or when I publish a new version of the book, like I fix a typo or whatever, right? I will update the version on the copyright page. So that way, when I publish the book, I can set a reminder for like a week out, and I can go and I can look on Amazon and Kobo, and I can look at the sample, and I can see if the correct version of the book is now available on the retailers. So it's little stuff like that too that, this book goes over that might help you. Okay. Next question is from CG Fernandez. What's your tip to outline a fantasy series? Well, that's a really good question. So I don't outline anymore, but I do have a really old video. It's an oldie but a goodie. I did this video back in 2014, and it's 10 ways on outlining a novel. So you could probably find it by just typing in how to outline a novel on YouTube, and it'll pop up. It's got tons and tons of views, and that might give you some tips on different ways. I used to outline, and so when I did this video, I did it just based on some tips there. So you may find that one helpful. Okay, next question is from Wyland. Do you have any tips on separating and saving writing energy? At my job, I write a lot: reports, manuals, policies, promotional stuff. And when I get home, I have a lack of writing energy. Yeah, and so basically I feel like drained, and it's depressing because none of it is writing I want to be doing. Yeah, Wyland, that's a really good question. I would say, first and foremost, just make sure you're picking the right projects. All right. So for your fiction, right? So if you're writing all day and then you get home and you have to write some more, you might as well write something that you're really passionate about, something that you just makes you get out of bed in the morning and you're really enjoying it. Because if you're not picking projects that you're passionate about, then it feels like a job, right? So I do a lot of writing in my job. I have author a lot of stuff for the employer I work for, and so when I'm at home writing, I just have to be really deliberate and just make sure that I'm picking stuff that I really want to write, and that makes a huge difference in terms of how you're feeling when you write. And then also the right tool, I think, is also important. The right writing app and all that good stuff. So let me know if that helps. Okay. Next question is from Dallas. How do you find book reviewers? Well, the best way to find book reviewers, I think the answer is a little bit different depending on where you are in your career. So if you have no books out there, or maybe one book, and you have a very small community, I think the answer is a little different. So for that person, what I would recommend is that you use sites like Book Sirens. That's a great site. I think I have an affiliate link with them, authorlevelup.com/book sirens. It's a great service. They let you post your book, and then people can choose whether they download it, and you only pay if they download it. And then if they leave a review, you get the benefit of a review. And it helps because it takes the grunt work out of it. You used to have to go and like pitch people manually. You have to find people, and then you'd have to pitch them, and it was just kind of a pain. Or you could do like Goodreads communities. There's like ARC places where you can post your book and people be happy to leave a review. That's a little bit tougher, but yeah, Book Sirens, Book Sprout is another one that kind of does this. I would recommend starting there because that's a great place to get traction. And as long as you've got a really good cover, a compelling book description, you should hopefully at least pick up a couple of reviews. And then as you start to build your community, then it becomes a little bit easier. So the other side to that coin is when you've got quite a few books out like I do, you can ask people in your community. So you can basically send out a newsletter and say, hey, I've got this new book coming out. If anyone would like an advanced copy of it, please let me know. I'd be happy to send it to you in exchange for an honest review. Right. So it gets easier when you start having a community because then you have people who are more likely to say yes. So if you don't have that community, use some of those services that I talked about. But under no circumstances should you ever pay for a book review. Services like Book Sirens are great because you're paying the service to access readers. You're not paying them to review your book. So they're fine. But never pay for a book review. There are some unscrupulous people out there, and I get emails from them, and I'm just like, really? Do you know who I am? Like, do you know like anything about me, or like the fact that I work for the Alliance of Independent Authors? And it just don't pay for book reviews. So if somebody emails you and says, hey, I would love to read your book for $300 or whatever, and I've got a $500 package, just kick them to the curb. Don't do that. That's a very easy way to get banned from pretty much every retailer I can think of. And it's also a really good way to just build distrust with your readers. So hope that answers your question. And then Jay Oliveira, I'm curious to know if you use, what method do you use to outline your novels? Yeah, as I mentioned, I don't outline my novels anymore. I write into the dark, meaning I write without an outline. I have a book on this topic. It's called The Pocket Guide to Pantsing, if you want to check that out. And I've also done various videos on my YouTube channel about how to write a novel without an outline. So all good stuff. Okay, let's look at the results that came in here. All right. All right, Milk Dreams, 151 words. And SD, I joined MK Williams' memberships, and she's doing her monthly Zoom meeting. Oh, okay. Okay, well, cool. Tell MK I said hello. And let's see. Deb started a new scene. Dallas, 159 words. Martha, 463 words. All right. Jonathan, real good. Got a plot hole filled. Very nice. Nothing like filling plot holes. Don got some good background history. And Rachel TB, 452 words. All right. Retha, 315. And I'm starting to see some more questions. And Jonathan, about the book. Yeah, I put a link in the chat, but it's authorlevelup.com/selling is the title of the book. Appreciate that. Okay. And then let's see. Dan the Man was able to add an opening scene. And Martha says, I can't find the details to the conference I mentioned. Yeah, the conference is the AuthorTube Writing Conference. And the link is authortubewritingconference.com. So just spelled out exactly as it sounds. And then that'll link to the YouTube channel, as well as, I think, entries for the giveaways that Shannon mentioned as well. Okay. Okay, and I am seeing some more questions come in, folks. So I got those logged. So I will answer them after the end of the next break. But I think we need to go to the next session, which is the final session. So let's be productive. Final stretch, everybody. Let's go ahead and do it. And I'll put the music on, and then we'll come back and keep answering questions. All right. We made it. So, not sure why that comment ended up on there, just like that. So, okay. So, let's take a look at some of the questions that came in. Let me know what you accomplished. Like, what did you accomplish today? How are you feeling about it? And then what are your goals for the rest of the weekend? All right. So that way, when you write your goals down, you're more likely to achieve them. All right. So first things first, I'm going to go into some of the questions that came in over the last break. And Travis asks, are you solicited to write articles about specific topics? If so, do you find it harder to write than if you wrote an article of your own choice? No, I'm actually, well, I take that back. Sometimes I have been solicited to write articles, but they have typically been articles in which I have a lot of expertise. So somebody asked me to write an article about how to write a novel without an outline. Well, that's right in my wheelhouse, right? I have had some situations where I have, I've been given a group of articles and asked to pick one, and I wasn't really crazy about all of them. And, I pick one and write it. And yeah, it is harder to write sometimes. I guess it depends on the word length. If the word length isn't too long, then it's not that bad. But yeah, they are harder. And the way that I've learned to deal with that is just to push through it and write it as quickly and as soon as possible. And if I do that, then I don't procrastinate and I don't delay it, and it gets easier. But yeah, empathize with you if you're in that situation right now. Okay, Joy Boy. How do I know if my writing is interesting enough? Only with reviewers, or are there other things to watch out for? Well, it's an interesting question. You used a very interesting word choice, which is interesting enough. That implies that you're worried about what other people are thinking about your work, right? Because if it's not interesting enough to them, then they won't read it. If it's not interesting enough to them, then they won't buy it. And I would, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I would encourage you to think about that differently. I would think about it like, how do I know if my work is engaging to readers, right? Not interesting. Right. And the way that I do it is the way that I gauge it, Joy Boy, is if I'm having fun when I'm writing, then I know my readers are going to have fun. And yes, are there some elements where I could improve my craft or elements maybe I could have executed differently? 100%. Absolutely. But generally speaking, I'm writing the best that I can write at this point in time in my life. And so I'm better than I was 10 years ago. And I know I'm 10 years from now, I hope I'm going to be better than I am today. So just have fun with your writing. And if you're doing that, then I think that takes care of your question entirely. And yes, there will be some things you need to improve on from a craft perspective. Figure those things out. If reviewers happen to comment on them, or if you get beta readers that say, hey, maybe your pacing was off, or I would have liked to know more about this character, well, then take that advice and, go take a workshop or go purchase a course or purchase a writing book that will help you with it. But yeah, just focus on yourself. Have fun with your work. Tell the stories that you want to tell. And if you do that, then readers can sense that. They can sense that confidence, and they will be more likely to buy your books and enjoy them. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, Dan the man asks, you asked this question. I answered your question at the beginning of the stream after the first session. So if you missed that, go back and listen to that, and let me know if I answered your question. Okay, next question is from Wylan. Have you ever seen fan art of any of your characters? I have not, actually. I would. It would be pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see what people or how people interpreted one of my characters. I think that would be really neat. Okay. Let's see. Wylan asks, Martha, if you're still on, would like to check out your book if you have a link. So be sure to put that link in the comments. And Milk Dreams, 247 words, very nicely done. Rachel T, 376. Martha, 423. Joy Boy, chapter 12, very nicely done. And Martha's goal this weekend is to finish a chapter and plug some plot holes. Okay. Jonathan is halfway through the final scene rewrite. I want to finish that and start editing the rest of the book. And the first draft was finished. Okay. Very nicely done. All right. Retha, another 315 words. And Rachel TTV, 835. This week looking to have a story finished by the deadline and having 15K in the bank. All right, CG Fernandez, I write by hand, so probably 100. I'm happy connecting with my writing again. Well, good. Like I said, you're feeling happy. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Okay, Joy Boy, that helped a lot. Okay, good. Glad to hear that. And Don discovered some bits and pieces about other characters, the race's culture, even some of the world's culture while doing Dory, I assume, as a character background. Very nice. Very nice. So it sounds like we had a really productive power hour, which is amazing, everybody. So I'm really happy for everybody. Glad you got some goals done, and that's good stuff. Wylan says, my goal is to ramp back up my writing. I've been slacking. Need to finish this first book. Okay. Well, good luck, Wylan. I know you can do it. So I finished my goal. I finished my QA on the book that I published back in April. It took me a minute, but got all the links checked out. Got everything checked, make sure that the titles are correct, the price is correct, got the right version of the book, I got the right book published, all that stuff, and finally got the book added to my website. So that was a good thing for me, and I'm excited on that. Hey, Travis, that was very kind. Thank you so much for the super chat. As always, great power hour and advice. I look forward to these gatherings with my fellow writers and creators. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Amy says, goal is I have a new story idea to explore. So the goal is to dedicate some time to this. Very cool. Wylan asks, how are you and yours? Hope you're doing well. Wylan, I'm doing great. I was pretty sick for a while. I picked up an unfortunate illness while I was traveling. Won't get into it, but it was kind of messy. So, but I'm doing fine now. I'm slowly, like you, kind of ramping back up into my writing, and I've just got a lot of loose ends. Like I said, I've got some speaking engagements. I'm speaking at Writers Digest in New York City in August. So if anyone's going to be there, let me know. And I'm doing a full day workshop for that. Me and my friend Maddie Dalrymple are tag teaming it. So we're planning that. And then I've got some books that I'm writing, as I mentioned. I'm still trying to hit 100 books this year. So I think I can get there, but I had a little bit of a setback. But overall, doing well. Like I said, can't complain. All right. And Milk Dreams, yep, we all did great today. Good job, gang. Absolutely. Jaden kicked off a great chapter. And Jocelyn says, thanks for the sprints. I'll keep working. Well, thanks, Jocelyn, for coming. Always good to have you here. And yeah, so some things that I've been working on. I'll throw this up here again, just so everybody can see it in case anybody missed it. I'm in some bundles. One of them is an urban fantasy bundle where book 1 of my Good Necromancer series, Shadow Deal, is available along with 4 other novels. And I'm in another short story anthology for Tales of Monstrosity. So lots of different monsters that if you're interested in, you can check out. And I'll throw that on the screen if anybody is interested. Camera focus. So yeah, and then if anyone else is also interested, I did mention this earlier. If you want to purchase any of my books directly, you can get 15% off. All right, so all good stuff. I guess other things I'm working on right now is continuing to follow the AI space, continuing to just be amazed at all the stuff that's coming out. Playing around with Midjourney a lot, and had a few ideas on how AI can potentially help me do some things that are a little off the beaten path and a little unusual. So like I mentioned that I have a master publishing file, and this is basically a giant spreadsheet of everything you want to know about any of my books. So title, subtitle, what's the price, what formats is it available in, what stores is it published at, you name it, who the cover designer was, how much I paid for the cover designer, whether I have all of the PSDs for that file. I mean, I'm a little anal when it comes to just gathering all that data, because you never know when you're going to need it. And then if I happen to get hit by a bus tomorrow, it would be helpful to know, everything about all my books. And so I was looking at the ChatGPT code interpreter, and I don't have access to it yet, but I was thinking of some ways that maybe I could feed that spreadsheet into ChatGPT, and it could point out any inconsistencies with the data. So, hey, Michael, you don't have this book published on Kobo, or the link for, Indie Author Confidential Volume 11 on Apple seems to be broken on the spreadsheet, that sort of thing. So what if it could just point out any sorts of errors that, would help me correct those errors at retailers? Just kind of a idea that I had. And, I'm continuing to use AI for editing. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. There's just so much that's going on right now. It's just crazy. And every week it seems like there's just something new. It's just hard to keep your head on straight. Jaden, how do you find time to attend writing events with a full-time job? Are you still working full-time? Yes, I am still working full-time. And the short answer is I pick a couple of events every year that I think are important or that I'm interested in, and I devote my time to those. So I went to Superstars in Colorado Springs this year, and I'm going back next year because I had such a good time. And Writers Digest is one that I really enjoy going to. And, I pick a handful of events, and, you have to be careful because, you only have so much time off when you're working a full-time job. So, if that only means you can go to 1 or 2 events, then that only means you can go to 1 or 2 events. And that's really not the end of the world, because when you go to an event, you lose like an entire week. So like every time I go to an event, I try to write on the go. And I do take a computer, and I do try to dictate and get dictation sessions in, and writing on my phone, or when I'm on the plane and all that stuff. And I'm minimally productive when I travel, but there's just other stuff. Emails pile up, or, I've got to-dos that don't get done, or, just something happens at the conference and I've got to devote some time to that. Follow-ups. I work pretty hard when I'm at conferences, getting to know people and following up with conversations we had afterward, and a lot of brain power. And not to mention just traveling and being in different time zones, and you lose a week anytime you travel. So it's really not the end of the world if you have a full-time job, because you don't travel as much, and so you can stay more productive, honestly. Because I know some authors, I mean, they're at every event every weekend, and I really wonder how they get things done. So yes, definitely travel if you can, but you don't have to go crazy about it. All right. Wyland says, "Hey, I got UF Unleashed. Hey, thank you for that. And going to grab the short story anthology. Appreciate that." And yeah. So there is a new Good Necromancer short story in there. And I've actually got some more Good Necromancer short stories. They're just not published yet. So that'll be fun. All right. TextVet Jeb says, I'm assuming Chat GPT, using it to edit chapter by chapter for grammar and spelling. Yeah, it does a pretty good job. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was mentioning that Chat GPT and Grammarly, they have about 50% edits in common. All right. So Chat GPT can catch about 50, they catch about 50% of the same errors, is really what I'm trying to say. So it's interesting. I find that the user interface to Grammarly sometimes to be a little tedious, because you've got to go through and select every single one. And the less I have to do that in Grammarly, the better. So one of the things I started doing is I edit my text with GPT before Grammarly, and then that reduces drastically the number of edits that Grammarly suggests. So then I spend less time in Grammarly, and that makes me happy. So yes, indeed. Hey, Michael says, "I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot of things going on, but man, I would pay for these on a daily basis." Yeah. I enjoy these too. I would love to do them every week. Maybe at some point I will do that. I've thought about at some point doing more live streams, not so much for the power hours, but just like live streams, just talking about, I don't know, news items, like publishing news items, not this, but it always comes down to time. So yes, we'll continue to do these. Okay, TextVet Jeb, "I'll be interested in how good it looks to my editor when I send it to her later this month." So pro tip, don't tell her that you use GPT to edit. And what I would recommend, don't tell her at first, I should say. What I would recommend that you do is, if you have a previous novel, take your previous novel, and if you know anything about like Microsoft Word macros, and I know, here we go again, Microsoft Word macros, but if you can figure this out, there's a Microsoft Word macro out there by Paul Beverly. It's called Get Track Changes, or Track Changes Counter. There's also another free tool. I don't know if it's still available, but it's called Doc Tools. And basically what you can do is you can count the number of track changes. So what I recommend people do is take your last work, count the number of track changes that your editor recommended, and then divide it by 2. And there's a reason for that. I won't get into it, but that gives you your benchmark. All right. That's what you did without Chat GPT or any kind of editing. Then when you get your edits back from this novel, then do the same thing, and then compare the two numbers. And then that delta is how much Chat GPT helped you, create a cleaner manuscript. That's what I recommend, because otherwise, you can start to adopt the tool, and that's great. And I'm always an advocate for that. But I'm a big fan of being able to quantify what you're doing. And so I know to the number. Like I have a spreadsheet, and I have my editing data going back all the way to 2018. So I can look at all of my novels, all of my nonfiction books, and I can see how many edits my editor recommended. And I basically do a calculation, and I basically know how many edits per 1,000 words. Basically take the word count and divide that by the number of edits. And that's what I call your edits per, right? So that's how many edits you got per, how many words. So obviously the higher the number, the better, right? So if you got 1 edit per 2,000 words, you're killing it. If you got 1 edit per 50 words, well, you probably got some work to do, right? And so if you do that calculation and compare the two works, I know I'm being tedious here, but if you do the calculation, it will tell you a lot. It'll tell you a lot. Numbers are power. All right. Yeah, Paul Beverly. It's Paul Beverly with an extra E. So Beverley. And in fact, I'll grab his website because it's not what you think it is. I will continue talking about Microsoft Word macros until I'm in my grave because they have made such a big difference in my editing. I cannot underscore it enough. So, okay, I threw the link on the screen. But yeah, he's got like over 1,000 macros. So, but yeah, check him out. And he does some instructional videos as well to help people with macros. Okay. So I'm looking at the date for the next Power Hour. And I'm thinking I may need to move it. Yeah, I'm going to have to move it. Okay, so the date for the next Power Hour, folks. So the next Power Hour is over the July 4th weekend, unfortunately. And, I don't like to do these over the weekends because I know that you guys are with your family. I probably will be with my family too. So here's what we will do. And whenever the Power Hour is off cycle, I do send an email newsletter to everybody on my newsletter, letting them know that the Power Hour has been moved. So if you're not on my newsletter list, get on my newsletter list at authorlevelup.com/fan club. So I'll put that here real quick. Levelup.com/fan club. And you can also follow me on Twitter. I do announce that on Twitter. So everybody, the next Power Hour is going to be Saturday, July 8th. So it'll be after the 4th of July weekend. So Saturday, July 8th. So remember, I will send out an email newsletter to everybody, just letting you know when the next date is. But that will be when the next date is. All right. So with that, I'm not seeing any questions. So I'll pause for a minute. If anybody has any last minute questions, let me know. But some things I'll probably be working on this weekend is, like I said, I'm just trying to clean up a lot of stuff. And I've been in this season where I'm kind of redoing how I'm productive. So I've been kind of changing my productivity goals. Like I use a calendar, I use a to-do list, I use lots of different things to keep me organized. And I'm kind of redoing how I do that so I can just be a little bit more productive. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting all that done. So, all right. Well, anyway, folks, I think that's a wrap for this month. So don't forget, Power Hour next month is on the 8th. So it'll be 1 week behind. But I'll be sure to advertise that, and also follow me on my YouTube community tab. I'll share that as well. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Thanks for another wonderful Power Hour, and I'll see you next month. Take care.